Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. Now that you've had a few days to think about it, does this White House still think the protests in Cuba are happening because people are upset about a rise in COVID cases there, or is there some thought maybe given to the possibility that they are protesting because they are sick of communism?
Well, Peter, first I would say communism is a failed ideology, and we certainly believe that. It has failed the people of Cuba. They deserve freedom. They deserve a government that supports them, whether that is making sure they have health and medical supplies, access to vaccines, or whether they have economic opportunity and prosperity. And instead, this has been a government, an authoritarian communist regime that has repressed its people and has failed the people of Cuba. Hence, we're seeing them in the streets. But I would note that the ideology of the government, which has failed, has led to a lack of access to economic opportunity, to medical supplies, to COVID vaccines. So all of those pieces are true.
And there are protesters now in this country who are chanting as these protests in Cuba are going on, where is Biden? So where is he? What is he doing to protect these people who are rising up against the leaders of this failed experiment?
Well, first, he is certainly advocating for and speaking out, as we've put out a statement, multiple statements. Maybe one of you will ask him a question about Cuba today. I will leave it to all of you to determine that. But one, he has made clear that he stands with the Cuban people and their call for freedom from both the pandemic and from decades of repression and economic suffering to which they've been subjected by Cuba's authoritarian regime. There's an ongoing review of our own policies. And as we look at those policies, one of the big factors is ensuring we are not doing anything to pad the pockets of a corrupt authoritarian regime. And that is certainly a factor as he's considering. But we're looking closely at how we can help in a humanitarian way, how we can help support the voices of the Cuban people. And there's an ongoing policy review in that regard.
And we'd be happy to ask him about it later if he calls on us. But one more.
Anyone can ask anything they want, but go ahead.
Why is the Secretary of State Blinken trying to address human rights in the U.S. by inviting experts, UN experts from Cuba and China here?
Well, first I would say that the Secretary put out an extensive statement on why he is why he believes that we need to play a role in lifting up and pushing countries to do better on human rights, on ending systemic racism in their countries. And certainly human rights is always going to be a priority for the Biden administration and for this State Department. As the Secretary said in his statement, he believes responsible nations must not shrink from scrutiny of their human rights record. Rather, they should acknowledge it with the intent to improve it, and also push and lift up and shine a light on other countries that need to do better. And that is the role we're playing here from the United States.
But you just rattled off all these problems with Cuba. They've got dissenters disappearing down there. In China, they've got 1 million religious minorities in internment camps. Why are they going to come here and tell us how to improve our country?
I certainly don't think that's the format of the event, but lifting up and elevating human rights, systemic racism, the steps that have been taken, the poor treatment of Uyghurs, as I think you're referencing here in China, and pushing other countries with a spotlight on them to do better is certainly a role we can play from the United States. Go ahead.
Can I ask you about South Africa very quickly? There have
Sure.
been days of looting and